morning. Good morning. So glad that we can have both live and virtual. If this just happens to be your first time because you got a link every Sunday morning, we come together at 9:15 for 45 minutes to dive into the Science of Mind textbook. And today we will be going on page 337, right in the middle of the page, beginning with evolution. But before we do that, I invite you to take a breath with me. And with that breath, we simply ground ourselves in the knowing that this is the perfect time to further explore spiritual principle and how to apply it in our own lives. This is good. This is perfect. And so it is. So beginning with page 337, we're in the middle of a chapter called section called What the Mystics Have Taught. And we have been exploring what mystics have taught in many different ways, whether it's Christian mystics, Buddhist mystics, Hindu mystics, Judaic mystics. Mystics from all traditions seem to come forward with the same knowledge. And we realize that what makes a mystic is that they are sharing from their lived experience of God, their lived experience of the divine. And it does, because it is spiritual principle, it does match what the intellect says, and science has now proven and continues to prove many things that the mystics taught us from simply articulating how spiritual law works or worked in their own lives. Ernest Holmes in this section then, pulls out different things to focus on. And today it's evolution. So I'm going to read a little bit. And as I'm reading from the textbook, my invitation to you is that you not only listen to the words, but think about how you have experienced what Ernest Holmes writes about. Because we know we have our own mystics right here in our CSLDallas community, and you are one of them. So after I read a little bit, talk a little bit about it, I'll be turning to you for you to comment about your experience or to ask questions about anything that I have shared. So let's dive in. Again, if you're following along in your textbook, page 337, beginning right in the middle of the page, the section titled Evolution. The universe, both visible and invisible, is a spiritual system. Humanity is a part of this spiritual order. So indivisibly united with it, that the entire cosmos is, or at least may be, reflected in the mind of the individual. Evolution is the awakening of the soul to a recognition of its unity with the whole. Material evolution is an effect, not a cause. This reverses the popular belief declaring that evolution is the result of intelligence rather than intelligence being the result of evolution. The aim of evolution is to produce a human being who, as the point of his objective thought, may completely manifest the whole idea of life, may bring unity to the point of particularization, finding nothing in the law to oppose it. The man Jesus became the Christ through a complete realization of the unity of spirit and the absoluteness of his word. His physical and spiritual faculties, his objective and subjective mind were completely poised and perfectly balanced. It is evident if this realization took place in any other individual, that individual's word would be manifested likewise, because behind the word is universal soul, omnipotent law. The spirit is limitless, but can only be to us what we believe it to be. Why must we believe it is? Because until we believe that it is, we are believing that it is not. It is all a matter of belief, but belief is scientifically induced into a subjective state through conscious endeavor. To repeat, the aim of evolution is to produce a human being who, at the objective point of their own self-determination, may completely manifest the inner life of spirit. Even the spirit does not seek to control us. It lets us alone to discover ourselves. The most precious thing a man possesses is his own individuality. Indeed, this is the only thing he really owns or really has or really is. For one instant, to allow any outside influence to enter or control this individuality is a crime against his real self. Wow. So those are the first few paragraphs about evolution, and the this idea that the goal of evolution, the aim of evolution, is to produce someone who, using objective thought, can manifest the whole idea of life, the truth of creation, spiritual principle in action. That is the goal. That is the aim of evolution. And so that is a really critical foundational understanding. And it gets confused so often in the way that we operate in our human state. If we let our humanity overcome or overtake our divinity instead of having them work in partnership, it becomes confusing. But when we remember the aim of evolution is to simply reveal the actual perfection of life, the wholeness, the whole idea of life, then it's easier to remember. You also heard me share the foundational piece that it's all belief. And we go back to that in Science of Mind all the time, right? That what we believe is what we achieve. What we believe or what we think about is what we are doing when we are driving our influence on the universe. And so in these few paragraphs, Ernest Holmes reminds us of those basics we already know, but simply in the context of evolving, individual evolving and collective evolving. The other key point, and let me see if I can find it because it throws people off so often in classes. Yes, right here. In the first paragraph under evolution, toward the end of the paragraph, evolution is the awakening of the soul to a recognition of its unity with the whole. Material evolution is an effect, not a cause. This reverses the popular belief declaring that evolution is the result of intelligence rather than intelligence being the result of evolution. Material evolution, meaning the physical evolution of form, of shape, of our bodies, of the galaxy, of the universe. The physical or material change, growth, expansion, evolution is an effect. It is not causing us to do things. It is the result of what we do or what we think. We place a mental cause, a commitment, a conviction into action, and what looks like or what is actual physical evolution is the effect of that. One simple example, if it's helpful. So we talk about in the 21st century, global warming, climate change, right? The weather patterns have changed so much. And in the popular sense, or it's easy to think because the weather's been changing so much, and I don't know the difference between winter and summer, and I don't know if it's going to be the way it has been, the patterns of when it snows or when it rains or when there are hurricanes or where they are. All of that, we think, oh, so we have to adapt to that. But really, that physical change, that material change is the effect of how we have been thinking, what we value, how we prioritize what we do and what we use, and what we believe. So the physical always follows the mental. Just if you can remember that, which is such a foundational belief in spiritual basics or in metaphysics, the physical always follows the mental. Everything starts with a mental cause, a belief, a pattern of beliefs. And so Ernest Holmes just reminds us of that in the first paragraph under evolution so that we don't flip the script, right? We don't want to get it twisted. We don't want to get confused. The physical evolution is a demonstration of our mental prioritization, choice, or belief. Ooh, I love that. I hope I can remember that. Our physical expression or experience is the demonstration of our mental thought, belief, and something else. It was really good the first time. I'm going to have to go back and watch the recording. And so it's easy, though, to remember because that's what we teach all the time. So if that's how it works, if you think about our teaching symbol in the metaphysical chart, right, we plant a seed, it is nurtured in the soil, and it comes back as a flower, a bloom, a tree. And so that is going from cause through subjective mind through and into a physical form. That's how everything is created. And evolution is just the expression of the next level of creation. So that's about 10 minutes of the intro to evolution. And I'm curious how it comes to mind for you or how you have experienced it. And of course, I'm also interested if you have questions, because there are always 10 ways to explain evolution and anything else. And I'm happy to explain it a different way. So I'm going to ask Ryan if he will give you instructions if you are not in the room. And if you are in the room, then all you have to do is raise your hand and I can call on you. So Ryan, give our virtual folks some help.
Well, welcome to you, Dr. Tracy, and hello, Dennis. We have Dennis in the house with us today. I always love seeing this guy. So yes, it's great to have everybody here with us today, and it's also great to have you online, whether you're watching us on the Zoom or live on Facebook. We love having you here, and we want to hear from you. This is an interactive discussion, so that goes true for the people in the room as well as you online. So there's a couple ways you can do that. If you're watching us here in Zoom, you can hit the raise your hand icon located down below, or you can always put it in the chat and I can bring it into the room. And the same goes true for Facebook. If there's something juicy out there, I'll make sure to bring that into the room. And it looks like we do have somebody online who wants to speak. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Connie, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, Connie?
Good morning.
Good morning. Hello. I just unmuted. Oh, so good to see you, and I'm glad everybody's there. People are there. It's wonderful. I decided to stay home. I have, this is a marvelous conversation, and I have a couple of very mundane examples I'd like to share, just get your perspective on it. I live in an apartment here in Farmers Branch, and there's a dumpster right in the parking lot close to where I am. And so when I walk down the stairs, I actually see what's in that dumpster through the door. A lot of stuff that could be recycled is in the dumpster, cardboard, plastic. And I'm thinking that is part of the cause of global warming, that people don't recycle. And it's their mental, discrimination or thought about it leads to dumping all that stuff on the land, and therefore, the global warming is proceeding. That's part of it anyway. Another one is when I walk in the morning, I walk by a marvelous lake, and after that big rain we had a few days ago, a lot of what I would only call trash washed into the lake. People had thrown their cups and their bottles and their stuff on the land, and whoosh, it washed into the lake. And I think we need to be better stewards of our earth by, getting rid of trash responsibly and recycling. So that's it. That's what I like to say.
Thank you, Connie. I think that you're on target in terms of just making the connection that our beliefs, right, then have an impact, and evolution is the result of that. Evolution of life, often in spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer, I do use the 3 words that life is expressing, life is expanding, and life is evolving. And I partially do that to remind myself that, life expresses, that is it happening all the time. But as we express, whatever we are focused on expands, or whatever we choose. And as we continue to choose that, life evolves. So global warming, pollution, it can be applied to anything that we see as a social challenge. That just gives us a good visual, and I love the visual of, even though I don't love the visual, I love the example of the visual of, I come out of my apartment, I can see into the dumpster, and there's so much there that could be recycled or reused. That is our mindset we have developed, especially in the United States. We have developed a mindset of instant gratification and quick use and disposability. Whereas several generations ago, right, it wasn't called recycle or compost. It was just, you use everything and you share what is excess or no longer useful. Like we would say, you recycle it, or you give it or gift it, or you donate it to someone who can use it. But we have shifted. And the result of that is, yes, the water in the lake or plastic island in the oceans. And so we we are seeing the effect of our thinking collectively, individually and collectively. And it is a perfect demonstration. Now, I want us to be careful, however, that the perfect demonstration is always happening. So I used, and then Connie, you used and built on that one example because it was visual. But evolution is neither good nor bad, right? So it doesn't just apply because now we have global warming or now we have pollution. It is also evolution when we have what we then label a positive effect. The point is that life is evolving. And as Ernest Holmes writes in this section, as we are studying science of mind, the aim is to evolve to where humanity is expressing the wholeness of its divinity, right? So Ernest Holmes writes and uses the word man, but in the context of humanity. You know, a man who does this can experience that. When you're reading science of mind, once you get past the very basic level, you automatically begin to translate that into, right? If it's a man, it's every man. If it's a man, it's every person. It's all of humanity. So the aim of evolution is for humanity to express the divinity, the perfection, the wholeness. Ernest Holmes specifically says the aim of evolution is to produce a man or humanity who, as the point of their objective thought, may completely manifest the whole of life, may bring unity to the point of particularization. The unity with spirit, individualized or particularized into my experience, Dennis's experience, Ryan's experience, Richard's experience, David's experience, James' experience, Petra's experience, right? It's how do we do that? And when we are doing it, we are experiencing evolution. Any other questions or comments before I dive in a little bit more?
Well,
Dennis.
Please try it because you, like I will be totally stunned at how little landfill trash you actually have when you recycle. Most everything is recyclable. All the cardboard, all the bottles, I mean, it just stunned me. And then going back to this evolution thing, I'm just because it's just stuck with me over the last several days since I read this, how the philosophy of evolution is different depending upon the paradigm. Are you approaching it from the absolute or the relative?
Yeah.
I mean, it just keeps coming back to me.
I love that. And it is a place that when you're reading it, you go, what, wait. So Dennis, one first, the comment about recycling and how when you really get into recycling, you realize how little has to go to the landfill. So whether it's food or whether it's a couch, right, or your clothes or whatever, there is so much that can be recycled or reused. And so I love that you encourage people to do that as well. But this point about that Ernest Holmes makes about evolution, it's always happening. But are you looking at it from the relative or the absolute? So from the relative, it's really looking at it from human condition and temporary condition. And when you look at it from the perspective of the absolute, you are looking at it and watching it and noticing it and being grateful for it from the perspective of spirit, eternality, perfection, wholeness. And it does make a difference. It really does, because what Ernest Holmes refers to as popular, really just meaning contemporary or societal norms, what is out there in the media, what people say in general. It is really grounded in the temporal, or in the relative, in the condition of right now. And that's why it becomes easy to think evolution is what is causing us to change, right? That, oh, because we have so much waste, then we must evolve to recycle more. But the fact that we have so much waste is the result of our consciousness and our beliefs up until now. And until we change our mental atmosphere and our choices and our conviction, then we won't get the new result. So I don't know, for some people that's like, you just said the same thing. Well, yeah, but as Dennis pointed out, are you looking at it from the absolute influence, or are you looking at it from the conditional? So I'm going to just check in with Ryan one more time before I go back to reading.
Yeah, I would love to hear some more, and I know the audience online and probably here in the room as well. But before you do, I just wanted to share this comment that came in. It says, love that truth is the evolution is a result of the divine, not that we choose between evolution and God.
Nice. Okay. Smart people. These are the mystics. It takes a mystic to write a statement like that. So thank you. And Ryan, thank you for pulling that out and sharing it. So if you are just joining us, we are in the Science of Mind textbook in the chapter, What the Mystics Have Taught. And we're in the section on evolution that began on page 337. But now I am reading beginning on page 338 in the third paragraph. And Ernest Holmes goes back to the Bible, as he so often does. In the Bible, we read, "Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be. But we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is." End quote. Even though this process of evolution is still taking place, has not stopped, and perhaps never will stop, because we shall forever unfold, even in this state of incompletion, now we are the sons of God. As we more completely evolve, we shall see the Christ appear. And when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is, being transformed from glory to glory by reason of that divine urge within each one of us. Even now, the divine reality is accomplished in infinite mind. Within each one of us is an indestructible, eternal, God-intended person, a perfect being, our perfect being. Always the idea of perfected humanity must have been in the divine mind. Involved within the cause is its effect. Okay, I've got to stop there, because there may be a couple of people that throws. So when we are thinking, when we are praying, when we are claiming what it is we want, we must claim that from the reality, from the belief that God is perfect. God has created humanity. So there is a perfection in humanity that then demonstrates a perfect life And I'm not talking about perfect as a comparison or as a human judgment. So when Ernest Holmes writes, within each or always the idea of perfected humanity must have been in divine mind, right? Spirit, God, the creator can't create anything that's not perfect because it's creating it from itself. So humanity, or each individual person, has the spiritual DNA to demonstrate experience perfection in divinity. So that is a given. And then involved within the cause, is its effect. If I am creating, if I am claiming a certain outcome, right, I am starting a new cause into motion, and I have the effect in mind. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to speak to what I want. I fell last night, and what I know and what I said in my spiritual mind treatment, I focused my treatment on my knee and elbow and fingers working perfectly, not on how bad it hurts or how hilarious the fall was, focusing on falling again. I am focusing my word on the effect, the cause that I am claiming, the evolution that I am claiming as my body recreates 700,000 billion trillion cells every moment, is that every cell is evolving. Every cell is simply expressing or moving toward its own perfection that it already knows within itself. The cause is keeping in mind the effect. The effect is a seed inside the cause that is stated. So again, it's that idea that everything is evolving. Is it evolving from the mental cause, or is it evolving because we are reacting to a negative effect or any effect? And we know as metaphysicians that it is evolving from the cause we set into motion. So near the bottom of page 338, God is perfect mind and cannot conceive imperfect ideas. Hence the idea of man as held in the mind of God must be a perfect idea. The perfect man is the only man God knows. Repeat after me. The perfect person is the only person God knows. The perfect humanity, the perfect race or species called humanity, is the only humanity that God knows, because God created the perfection, created from perfection, created from itself. So the evolution is always moving toward that perfection, no matter how it looks. So on the very next page, and then I'm going to ask you if you have questions at the top of 339. Humanity, or man, being an individual, may do as he wills with himself, as Browning said. She may desecrate, but she can never lose her life. Spirit ever has a witness within us, and the God intended human already knows that she is one with the whole, that nature is comprised of one ultimate power, using many instruments and having many avenues of expression. The time has come in our evolution. Okay, listen up, and then I'm going to go to your questions, comments, and examples. The time has come in our evolution when we should awaken to the recognition that behind each one stands the eternal mind, that each has complete access to it, that each may come to it for inspiration and revelation, and that surrounding all is a divine law obeying the dictates of this eternal mind. Bam. That's evolution. That's the foundation of it. All right, so what you got? Brian.
I was going to say drop the mic, but I don't want that to interfere with all this nice setup that I got going on here today. But that was great. So I want to call Anita into the room. Anita, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself?
Hey, good morning, Ryan. Good morning, Dr. Tracy.
Good morning.
And Dennis in the room, everybody online. So you know me, Tracy, I just absolutely love it when we refer back to, or when Ernest refers back to the Bible, you know, in his writings. And I think I even referred to that passage last week that, brethren, now are we the sons and daughters of God. You know, and how great it is to come to that understanding and that realization that it is from that point that we begin to evolve into our greater yet to be, right? And so just coming off of the four kingdoms of consciousness as well, right? That is the perfect example of that evolutionary process within our beingness, right? As we move from that victimhood to, yeah, I can claim it and then I can surrender to it, you know, and then I can just be. And that to me is like the epitome of what that evolutionary process is within the human being. And I'm just so grateful this morning to be able to look at my life, right? And how it has evolved into the higher and higher levels of that consciousness and the realization that it is the spirit within me that doeth the work. So
I want to encourage anyone who's on Zoom and anyone who's on Facebook, if you resonate with that and you recognize that, oh, like when you see me, you see the Father, it is now, then I just want you to put yes in the chat, or yes, that's me, or yes. And, you know, I've got Sharon and Dennis and Ryan and Richard in the room, and I've got them going, yes, 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 it is applying to me as well. This is the evolution. It is not some far off, mysterious thing. Evolution, the mystics have taught us from all faith practices, the mystics have taught us that we are the evolution. Our thoughts create the evolution. And the evolution, I think what is hard is that one of the things that is hard is we tend to think we only are talking about evolution either when we are talking about big leaps in physical expression, like we evolved when the space program went and put a man on the moon. That was evolution. And it was, but think about it. It was not the cause of all the amazing things that happened afterwards. It really was the effect or demonstration from decades of thinking, imagining, choosing. And then when the president put the challenge to the nation to begin to think of, we will put a man on the moon in less than 10 years, like with 10 years from now. A lot of people, millions of people shifted their thinking to, we're going to put a man on the moon in less than 10 years. The US can do this. Science can do this. And all of it came together, and it was the effect. It was a big TSRW in the CSLDallas vernacular. This stuff really works. This science really works. And what happens when we have something that really works and we have a demonstration? We go, yay, that really works. Now what do I want? And so, right, we set our sights and our beliefs, or even it's, yeah, that really works. I want more of that. We set a new cause into action, and it demonstrates too, which is the physical evolution. So, yeah, Ryan, before we begin to close down here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really love what you said. And there are so many yeses here in the room and in our online presence. So I'm going to ask Brenda to come and unmute herself. Let's join the conversation.
Good morning, Brenda. We've got 2 minutes, so jump in.
Good morning. I'll do something unique and stay concise. I'm going to jump ahead 2 paragraphs. Number 1, involution is the idea, while evolution is the unfoldment. Involution precedes evolution. I had to have the experience that I was one with the all rather than separate before I could manifest my own self-love, love in my life, a home, a spiritual community, and seeing that manifestation and going, oh my, this stuff really works, led me to classes. Classes was leading me to deeper thought and to community, and it's leading more. And I'll conclude with 1 sentence. I just finished a week-long conference with 4,000 family practice physicians across the country. And not only are we evolving individually, 5 years ago, we were talking about diseases and disease intervention. This year, the entire focus was on social determinants of health, access to health, health outcome disparity, health outcome equity, ways of changing the financial model of medicine for the country and the political activation that's doing it. And as a result of that suggestion, we are manifesting in Washington at our National Assembly next year and trying to arrange perhaps even public showing of that shift of primary care, moving beyond thinking of what we can do to the individual patient. COVID has brought us to a national and global awareness of the interconnectedness. And so I just wanted to lift that demonstration beyond the individual to the community, the social, the national vision that there can be equity, equality, access, and improved life for all.
Yes, yes, and that is a great example. And it's the perfect cliffhanger as well, because involution and evolution deserve an entire 45 minutes on its own. So Dr. Petra will pick up again next Sunday at 9:15 a.m. Central Time on page 339 with the paragraph about evolution compared to involution, and what that means for us and what the mystics have taught us. This is the Sunday morning Science of Mind class at CSLDallas, and of course in person now in our art gallery, as well as virtual. We want you to be virtual if you can't be with us in person, all over the country, the nation, the world. So hopefully we'll see you in about 30 minutes at our Sunday celebration with people live in the sanctuary. And if you're on your way, or if you're in Dallas, come on, you've got 30 minutes to get here and hang out with us. Have a great week, everybody.